If you've ever done any kind of study at all about goal setting, I'm sure you've come across the idea of visualising your goal at the moment of completion. It's one of the steps in the NLP well-formed outcome process, which is that you identify how are you going to know when you've achieved your goal, and you visualise that moment. Not just visualise it, but also imagine the sound, the feeling, taste, smell, things you might be saying to yourself, the whole sensory experience of knowing that you have achieved your goal. But even if you haven't done NLP, if you've looked at goal setting, you're probably familiar with the idea of visualising the successful achievement of your goal. But there's a little X factor in this process that isn't very often talked about that can make a huge difference to how successful you are in visualising your goal and also in achieving it. And this little extra factor can be summed up in the phrase, present state associated, desired state dissociated. Now, the notion of association and disassociation is connected with pictures that we make inside our heads. If you like, it's a submodality distinction, but that's a piece of jargon you don't really need to know. What it means is that when we make a picture in our mind's eye of something that we have done or might do in the future or are planning to do in the future, there are two ways that we can make that picture. So think about this for a moment. Just visualise yourself doing something that you plan to do next week. Bring that picture to mind and have a good look at it. Now, notice, are you seeing yourself, that is your face and your body, in that picture? Or are you seeing the view that you will see through your own eyes when you find yourself in that situation? If you can see your own face and body in the picture, then this is what we call a dissociated picture. So, if you like, you're actually detached from it, your viewpoint is detached from the picture. Whereas if you're seeing the view through your own eyes, we call that an associated picture because you're seeing it from inside the experience, if you like. Now, these two things make a big difference. They actually tell our brains different things about the meaning of the picture. So, for example, if you were to imagine yourself at the moment of successful completion of your goal, and you were to imagine what it's like actually being there, seeing it through your own eyes, and really pay attention to all the little details of what's visible, what you can hear, how you feel, and so on. At a level below conscious awareness, there's very little distinction between that imaginary experience and the reality of being in that situation for real. So where am I going with this? Well, there is the possibility that if you spend lots of time visualising yourself in an associated way, having achieved your goal, at some unconscious level, it's almost as if you've already got it. So there is no motivation to make it happen. Let me show you what I mean. You've probably had the experience somewhere in your life of going on holiday and spending some time doing just exactly what it is that you like to do on holiday in the perfect conditions for doing whatever that is. So just take a moment and remember what that was like. You're on holiday, you're doing what you love to do when you're on holiday, you've got the people with you that you love to do those things with, and the conditions are absolutely perfect. So just take a moment and be there again. So you can see it all happening around you, you can hear the sounds, you can feel what it's like. Maybe there's some smell associated with it, maybe there's taste if it involves food and drink. Maybe there are things that you say to yourself in that situation. Just assemble a full sensory experience and relive that memory for a moment. Now, if you can tear yourself away, let me ask you, what really is the difference between what you just experienced and what it was like to really be there? My guess is the main difference is how long it lasts. That if you can conjure up that perfect moment on holiday, it maybe only lasts 5, 10, 15 seconds, and then you might have to go back and do it again. But if you had a goal that you kept conjuring up in that way, and you visualised it several times a day, then there comes a point when it almost feels as if you've achieved it. And if you've achieved it, where's the motivation to do the things that are going to make it happen? So, contrast that with making an image in your mind's eye in a dissociated way so that you can see yourself in the picture. What that does at an unconscious level is it creates a separation between you and your goal. It actually physically demonstrates that you're not there yet. And so by having that distance, it actually creates the motivation for you to get there. So this is something that you can experiment with. But as I said, the rule of thumb goes like this. Present state, associated. Desired state, dissociated. So if you're thinking about how things are at the moment, that's your present state, you use associated images because it's real. That's how it is. If you're thinking about how you want things to be in the future, then you make dissociated images because that emphasises that there is a gap between where you are now and where you want to be. So there's something that you can experiment with as you're planning your goals. And it doesn't have to be big long-term goals that you do this with. You could even try it on today's to-do list. Have fun.